Greetings voters for Cootamundra. My name's Jim Salem. I'm the candidate here. I am an Australia First Party member. I'm your candidate for Cootamundra. I'm launching this campaign, if you like, at a very fitting place, at the birthplace of Henry Lawson, Australia's national poet. Henry Lawson was, as all of us should know, not only the father of the ideal of Australian nationalism, but also possibly the first Australian who truly understood the very definition of that nationality. Henry Lawson also, in his career, made it his business to stand up for the ordinary person, for the worker, for the farmer, for the miner, for the person without a job, for the person doing it tough. And like his crusading mother, he acknowledged the enormous influence that Australian women had on the development of our society. Lawson was also the great champion of the idea of a European Australia, and he warned Australia of the great danger that came from immigration as a policy, and also where immigration linked to challenges from without. It's very fitting in this election campaign that we think a little about what Henry Lawson was saying. This area, part of the enormous riverina area of New South Wales, is now an area that's challenged. System party machines govern the riverina. Not simply electoral parties that win votes here, but actual machines of patronage and privilege that dominate this electorate and the rest of the riverina. Generally speaking, Cootamundra is a seat that's held by the National Party. In my campaign material, I've referred, if you like, to a certain country gentry that dominates the politics here. As I said, it's a machine, not simply a political party. I've said in my campaign material and writings for this campaign that the National Party in particular is a party that links together through its networks the interests of the foreign and the interests of certain well-heeled people in these areas. The National Party preaches the doctrine of trade. There's nothing wrong with a bit of trade, but trade has become a cult, and in the trade cult there are those who aim to get extremely rich while the rest of us remain extremely disadvantaged. If we look at the rural towns, not simply here, but the other rural towns of this state and other states, we notice something quite interesting. Services here are beginning to die. Post offices, banks, police stations, health. Why is this? It's because it's planned that way. Because the Australian country towns are now simply adjuncts to a global economy in which the gentry aim to get rich. This electorate in particular is to be visited by the very fast train line that is to run from Sydney to Melbourne, and the construction of 8 new cities along that line, populated not by, let's say, Australians, but largely immigrants from China. Our towns will become refugee dumps, welfare dumps, cheap labour dumps, adjuncts to an economy that we no longer own. In targeting the National Party and making it clear that the National Party bears a particular historical responsibility for this, I'm not throwing off, if you like, away from the other major party, which in its own way is just as guilty. I'm simply making the claim that it's time that voters in these areas of our rural Australia took a different stand and started to think in terms of putting Australia first. In this campaign, I am the candidate who puts Australia first. Cast your vote accordingly. Thank you.